What's going on everybody, my name is Rico, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my channel is about vlogs, series and tutorials. And in this episode I'm going to show you guys how to color grade like Mad Max. And this is the image that we're going to use today. Let me show you guys the source image. This is the source image that we are going to try and mimic. I've already taken a snapshot, it's over here, so please press this button. And now let's go back to the image that we're going to edit. And as you can see, if I hit the snapshot, I can then drag this line to see if the colors match or if they don't match. So I'm going to deselect it. And the first module that we're going to use is the color zones module. I've put all the modules that we're going to use in this tutorial in the favorites. If you don't see them over here, you can find them in the menus over here. Or the quickest way is to go to more modules and then find them in the list down below. Select them and then they will appear in your favorites. So the first module that we're going to use is the color zones module. And I'm going to keep this on saturation, and later on we are going to change the hue. The first thing that I want to do is I want to really make the blues pop, and for that I want to select the blues in the water. So I'm going to use the color picker. I'm going to place it on the water so that I know where the colors are in the color zones module. So the water is over here. So I'm going to place a point right here. I'm going to drag it all the way up to make it really pop, like so. And now what I want to do is I want to go to the hue. I want to change the hue of the blues a little bit. For this I'm going to just click around a little bit to see where the colors are, just like so. And what I want to do is I want to create a small point over here. We're going to place it back up later on, and I want to drag this down to about here. I want to add a second point, drag it down a little bit as well. Now let's see a before and after. So I'm going to deactivate the module. This is a before, and now with the module activated, this is the after. Let me close down this module and let's go to the next module. The next module is the RGB curve module. If you don't have this module, you can still follow along. What you need to do is go to more modules, go to base curve, open the base curve, select uniformly, and then as a blend mode, please pick RGB red, RGB green and RGB blue. So first select red, then hit this symbol right here, pick new instance, and then go to uniformly and then pick, let's say, green, and then go to new instance again, uniformly, and then pick blue. And once you've done that, you've got a channel for the reds, a channel for the greens and a channel for the blues, and that way you can follow along. So I'm going to deactivate it. I'm going to close it because I won't be using it. I'll keep it in my favorites just for the sake of time. I'm going to open up the RGB curve. I'm going to activate it, and just make sure that the mode is set to RGB independent channels. And the first channel that we're going to edit is the red channel. I want to add some reds throughout the entire picture. I'm not going to use a mask. And I want to add the reds in the midtones over here, and I want to add the reds in the highlights over here. If you pull this towards here, reds are being added to the image, like so. And if you drag it down, reds are being extracted and blue will be introduced, leaving you with a much cooler image. For this image, like I said, I want to add the reds, so I'm going to place it like so. And I want to add some reds in the highlights as well, like so. Now you might think that this is a lot of reds, but we're going to balance it out with the blue channel. I'm not going to change the green channel, so I'm going to keep it as is. So now we're going to the blue channel. And for the blue channel, I want to introduce more yellow into the shadows, and I want to introduce more yellow into the midtones, and I want to introduce more yellow into the highlights. We don't have to change the midtones because they will be changing automatically when we change the highlights and the shadows. So let me just drag this point all the way to here to add a lot of yellow into the image. And let's do the same thing for the highlights. Now let's compare both images to see how that looks. So I'm going to select the snapshot. There you have it. This is the image that we are trying to mimic. And this is the image on the right, obviously, that we have just edited. The blues are a little bit more blue, and there's a little bit of fading in the blacks in this image right here, and there's not any fading in the image that we've edited. So let me deselect the snapshot. I'm going to keep the blues as is, but I'm going to close the RGB curve module. And now there's two ways to do this. The first way is to change the black point. So let me show you guys what happens if I drag this to the right. Now the blacks become more black, and basically they are being crushed. If I drag it to the left, they start to wash out a lot. Well, if you use this, only the blacks are being affected in the image. This does look good, but this is not how I want to edit this. I'm going to show you guys how we can do that. So let me close the exposure module and let me deactivate it, because we're not going to change anything in the exposure. We do have a spot over here, so we're going to change that in a minute as well. But for the blacks and the fade out look, we are going to the contrast, brightness and saturation module. And we're going to deselect the contrast by minus 0.10, just to give it a subtle faded out look. It looks really cinematic if you ask me. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of this spot over here. So for that I'm going to use the crop and rotate module. I'm going to activate it. Just make sure that the aspect is set to freehand, and then grab this point right here, drag it inwards. Let's make sure that the girl is still in the image and the framing looks good. So I think this looks fine. I'm going to double click it. Now the image has been cropped, the spots are gone. Now let me close the crop and rotate module. Let me grab the snapshot. And this is a low quality snapshot, but I think you guys get the picture. So this is the source image that we based our picture on. And this is the picture, how it turned out after we've edited it. Now let me deselect the snapshot and let me show you guys a before and after. So I'm going to take another snapshot of this image right here. I'm going to select that snapshot. I'm going to select the original. And I'm going to drag this line to the right. So on the right is our original image, and on the left is the image that we've edited it. And I think this absolutely resembles a scene from Mad Max